Hey everyone, welcome to the Missing Manual. I'm Julia.
And I'm JCK.
Today we are going to talk about Agentic AI and artificial intelligence and how we're both using it. Recently, Jenny had posted something on LinkedIn, and we'll get into the little story. But And we thought this would be a great topic to cover, share a little bit about what we're both individually doing with AI and how we're using it, and a couple quick tips and suggestions for each of you to dip your toes in the water. So, JCK, I'm going to turn it over to you to maybe talk about the AI class that you took
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and
it's probably a great
what
place to start.
what you've broken
So,
into.
absolutely. So, I started last fall. I was looking at using AI. I love using AI. I've been a big fan and user of AI for several years and do a lot of presentations and speaking engagements on AI. But as it related to agentic AI, and agentic AI is a little bit different than things like generative AI because think of it like action engineering. So it's actually doing something on your behalf in a different system. And I didn't have necessarily hands on experience doing that. And so I looked at different programs that were out there, and I came across a program from Johns Hopkins and applied generative AI. And so what this program did is it gave me a really, really good foundation of of how to build with agents. And it started actually with how to code, which I have hired many a developer in my day. And I've had to be able to source for those skills. But to be honest, like I've never been the person that's actually building the code in the back end. And so there was many a nights where I would be yelling at my computer because I was like, this isn't working. Why isn't my code working? But with it again, it gave me a really, really good foundation. And in that program, I started actually building out agents. And so there was a post that I made on LinkedIn, and it was related to Grey's Anatomy. So if there's any Grey's Anatomy fans out there, Dr. Bailey always says, you see one, you do one, you teach one, as it relates to like doing surgery or things that are happening in the medical world, right? And that's been a really interesting kind of similar model to how I've engaged with AI. So my C1 was really Johns Hopkins. They gave me my first opportunity to do one, which is building an agent. Then I started building agents for us at GBS Worldwide, and for myself, and then for our clients. And I hadn't had an opportunity to do my teach one yet. And so I had called a friend who lives local and was like, hey, I want to do this thing. I want to teach you how to build an agent. Would you be down? She's like, oh my gosh, absolutely. Like, let's do it. And so we scheduled time to do it. And then I was talking with Julia as we were wrapping up filming an episode of The Missing Manual, and I explained what I was excited about. And she's like, oh my gosh, can I join? And that's what we did
Well, I
last
don't
week.
even think I may not have asked. I just said, what time?
Yeah,
My
I'm going to
schedule's
be
free.
there.
I'm
I'm going to be
joining.
there. Yes, exactly. I could have been it too. It could have been it too. So, and so we did a teach one. And so I helped Julia and my friend Kirsty, hi Kirsty, build a content agent that understood their tone of voice and would allow them to post on different platforms like LinkedIn or Facebook or blog posts, right? Because each of those is a slightly different kind of mix and blueprint for what good looks like. So, yeah, Julia, what was that process like for you?
I think it was great. So over the past several years, I've worked in, enterprise corporate environments that are very risk adverse. So playing with AI at work was typically not allowed, and so I would find ways to do it at home. Since leaving corporate last summer, I have really dived into using AI. So for my book, I used it to help me write extra chapters, editorial for the book. I have created an AI voice document for some of my content where I can draft something and then have the AI look at it and help improve it before I put it out to the world. But going through the process with you last week really formalized things a little differently. So it helped me take what I had done and really take it to the next. With that, I think it's then can I automate it? If it gets my voice enough, can I automate it to post on my behalf? And how do I really turn it into an agent versus a voice? But something that was really interesting when you talk about like rolling up your sleeves and getting in and building things and learning, development, right? And writing some code. I can't tell you how many times in my career I've had like this great idea around what like tech in the HR space and then never had the right connections to get it built and not the right motivation either, let's just say. But I've been having a lot of fun imagining and playing around and developing some cool things that I think I'll be able to put out into the world in the next weeks to months.
That's that's amazing. I was talking to our friend Hung Lee earlier today, and
I
I
love
he's a high hug. But um, one of the things that I said to him, I was like, people who have historically had the ability to make complexity simple so that people can understand it. Like, so if you are able to like demystify a situation, if you're able to make music from noise, right? If you're able to, again, like find that silver line through the message or the signal through the noise, right? You are uniquely predisposed to be really, really good at building with agents, right? Because you have to be very, very clear and you have to be very specific about what you want. So if you can demystify that, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier for the AI to then be able to go and build it on your behalf, right? But you have to be crystal clear and focused on what either what your good looks like or relinquish control and ask the AI for help to help it spot your good. And then you have it reverse engineer how to build that. And so, like, again, I think there's still with some people maybe a hesitancy about jumping in. But if anybody is out there that's looking at potentially like taking that first leap, I would highly recommend it because, like, I gotta say, just like Julia said, like historically you have ideas, you haven't had the ability or the vendor won't listen or, and now you have an idea and you can build something like this. Like this morning, I was looking at my daughter's, she's 18, and she had her thank you cards for her birthday on the table. And I was like, there's got to be a different way. And I actually built an agent that would do, it was almost like a choose your own adventure for my kids to be able to help them draft messages of gratitude or thank you notes for people who gave them gifts. And so sometimes it can just be really hard to know where to start. And so it's a super easy form fill of like, what was the thing you got? Are you going to use it for something specific? And then cues them to write something intentional for the person. And so I'm not trying to like cheat code this. I'm trying to make it easier for them to be able to do it. And I went from proof of concept to viable product in what, 15 minutes? Like, that's
It's the
insane.
AI version of Mad Libs, Mad
It's
Lib
it's
thank you notes.
Mad Lib thank you notes. Yes, exactly. And so like that's what you get with this technology is you really it's almost like getting a superpower. It democratizes the skills to be able to build technology. And it's exciting. And so, yeah, I think we're going to have some tips and tricks because
Yeah.
it seems like a lot of people are looking for content as it relates to how to get this right, how to begin, different best practices. I know I've had to get savvy about usage with Claude because it's been maxing out on my max plan. And so some of the workarounds that uh, sometimes constraints can lead to good places. And so there's some things that we've been able to do that are making it a lot easier to be able to build with Claude. So stay tuned. We're going to have more of that content to come.
Yeah. I think we're going to create a couple episodes walking everyone through as we build some items. And when I think about that, if you're thinking about building and you don't know where to start, look at your processes. So you can use AI to help you because what I've seen in a lot of corporate functions is that people will put AI on top of their bad process. And so they're not improving the process.
Yeah, I was reading. I was like, don't do that. One of the things that we talk about at
Yeah.
GPS Worldwide is like step zero as it relates to AI. And so a lot of people are jumping towards like, how do I use agents? How do I use automation? How do I use AI? Right? The first step is being able to map your existing processes, and ideally you're identifying where there's friction, um, and then you're using that almost like a heat map to reverse engineer leveraging the technology or the experience in those spaces. But the other thing I think to challenge people on is like we've gotten so used to building our processes because the technologies that we invested in almost like tied our hands so we couldn't do what we wanted to do. So we gave up certain things, right? And now with this technology, you can really like I want to challenge you guys to like art of the possible. What would it look like if it was done right? If humans acted how they should in a perfect world, like all these different pieces, what would that look like? And then you can actually, I mean, again, we've democratized the skills to be able to build. You can build that thing, that exact system to do that exact thing. And I think that's going to be the future of what HR technology and like HR ops looks like is instead of managing a vendor stack necessarily, you might be building out agentic experiences for point solutions. What do you think, Julia?
I'll play devil's advocate to an extent, right? As an enterprise TA leader, risk is always a big concern of mine. And if you're building something, you want to make sure that you've got the security built onto it, especially when we're talking about HR technology. And
100%.
so what information is passing through? Is there PII with what you're building if you are building layers onto something? And just being mindful of some of those things I think are really important. But I think it's going to be great to create things that could be helpful for your teams that might not involve PII, and you can build it yourself possibly instead of spending a lot of money. And so some of it comes down to that. Are you building it? Are you buying it? Are you renting it? What's that
Build, borrow,
experience?
buy. Yes.
Yeah, on how you're going to use some of your tools and tech. And so, yes, you might have some trade-offs to consider as you are thinking about your tech stack and how you layer AI into it. But I think from an individual perspective, like I'm playing around with AI to help manage my mailbox because I am not one of those people that can get my email inbox down to zero every day. And if you saw how many mails I have in my inbox, those OCD people out there, it would drive them crazy. So I'm trying to figure out how I can better use agentic AI to help organize me a little better.
I love it. I love it. Well, more to come on this. Until then, this has been The Missing Manual. I'm JCK.
I'm Julia. Please subscribe and like and comment so we know what types of topics you want to hear from us. Have a great
Absolutely.
day, everyone.
Until next time. Thanks.